Matheus Cunha, how light, Bart?
So, as always with these shows, pretty standard format, but it works for us, so we're going to stick with it, all right? Is we look at the minutes, right? As we are now in the back end of another mammoth season with, maybe 20 games to go, maybe. Depending on how Champions League goes. Our boys have to be able to do large capacity minutes. They have to be able to play twice a week. We always look at that starting point. And the pleasing thing here is, whereas some of the other ones you can see they're building up the minutes, but they're still not quite at the level we would need. There is an opportunity thing here as well. Wolves are very rarely in Europe, so there would be you've kind of got to say, well, has he played the minutes he could have done? Yes, he's made 29 out of 32 starts last season. He clocked up just sort of 2,500 minutes. So he pretty much played nearly all the available minutes for Wolves. Okay. But because they went in Europe, he didn't get the high number starting towards to get 3,000, the rest of it. But he's already at 1,900 now. He's made 24 starts. He's made 22 out of 24 starts. So again, another season of really consistently doing it. The other thing we try and look at is, are things upwardly trending? I'm doing it the other way with the camera. So last season, 0.44. 3 seasons ago, he was at just short of 0.2 goals per 90. Then last season, 0.44. This season is 0.55. So a nice trend going up. Assists. Wasn't really doing anything his first season with Wolves. Then he went up to 0.26. This is a 1.8. So he's taken more of a goal scoring role on. And I think that also comes with a bit of the positional change. I think he spent a lot of last season out on the wings, whereas this season he's played predominantly, or he has played periods of both, but also in the 10 hole. Expected. So 0.35 goals last season and 0.32 assists, fairly balanced. This time around, again, balanced, 0.26, 0.26. So down a notch, but not massively amount. So overall, non-penalty XG and assists is a 0.55 per 90, which is, again, a progression for his previous 3 seasons. So he is on that upward trajectory. He's also in a really good age profile. So he's in Edward's favourite age profile. He's clocking the minutes. He's got the appearances. There's a lot to like in terms of that just raw data we look at. If we then start comparing it to our old favourite percentiles. So he does have 2 profiles, and we can look at both. Because I think it's important to note that where we would be asking to play. I think the versatility is a good thing for him, right? So if you look at him as an attacking mid-winger, i.e. instead of Luis Diaz, should we say, or Mo Salah, if the worst case scenario, then defensively, he performs very well. Okay, 50% over aerials, 87% for clearances, 43rd for blocks, interception 76, 59 for tackles. Bearing in mind the last show we did, was not particularly good defensively when he was in a wide area. So this is a good thing for us to see for him. Between the boxes, the middle one, progressive passes received, so that this would suggest that he's receiving the ball deep and then he's carrying it at 56 or 74 percentile, or he's making a pace, probably more likely to pass the ball. So that's not too bad. He takes 72nd percentile for take-ons. So it's a bit of a mixed bag in terms of what he does with it, but they're not horrible. His completion rate for passes is a little bit low, like 29th percentile, but it's still 73% of the game. So that's still higher than a lot of our forwards achieving a game. In terms of what does he do in the box, non-penalty XG, non-penalty goal, 6th percentile. The XG side of things, he's got 59th. Shots, again, I said to you, it's got to be above 3 if approaching 5. This is only for an attacking winger. He's at nearly 3.5 shots a game. This is a good sign. If you round that all up, shot per actions, he's down the low end of it, but they're still nearly 3.5 a game. Now, so that's him as a wide-ish player. If you look at him where he played against us, so he played in the 10, you suddenly get a very rosy picture. So defensively, he then creeps up to 90s in there for tackling interceptions. So some of the rhetoric you'll hear people talk about is, oh, he wouldn't. And even myself, I was a little bit like, well, how's he going to oust Dom in that 10 role? How's he going to outwork? Because Dom puts in a hell of a shift in there.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at this box here, these are exactly the kind of things that we would need to see from our 10. Or 8.5, however you want to play. Then you look at what does he do in there. So he's also making more passes than most players in that position. He's making more progressive passes, which is good. He's making more carries. He's taking people on. These are all very good things. The bad thing for someone playing that further forward is he's in the 40th percentile of touches in the penalty box. So that's not great. But if we look at what happens in the box, the goals, again, 76 pretty decent. Keep clicking on that for some reason. Apologies.
Yeah.
Shots total, 3.3, 80th percentile. So these are all very, this is looking at a very good profile if you play him a little bit further forward. Yeah. Maybe as a false nine, I don't know. And if we compare him with, say, let's be honest, the two players that are, is it fair to say the most likely to leave? So Diaz and Nunes are probably the most likely to leave. So if we look at him as an AM with Diaz, so Diaz is red, by the way. He does better in terms of the defensive side than Diaz, and he's slightly below the rest in terms of some of the attacking metrics. Again, as I always say, opportunity to do things. Yeah, he plays for Wolves. Their average possession is about 40% in a game. Our average possession is 60. That is almost 10 more minutes of ball, 10 to 15 minutes more ball time. So you are going to get more opportunity to do this stuff than you are playing for a lower leg side. If we compare it as the forward, though, because Diaz has also played that position for us, and he compares, I would say, very well in that element. Pass completion is the one note of being a dramatically below, and also the assists and goals combined. But on the whole, he's better off the ball in that position than Diaz. And I think he fairly does match him in terms of all the other metrics. Now, if we roll the dice though and say, well, how about the other forward we've got? Let's compare him with Nunes. Well, I would say Cunha is probably profiling better than Nunes in nearly all elements, apart from receiving the ball in a progressive nature, some of the dribbles and some of the XG grade. So, if you look at it as a forward, he compares very well with our two current incumbents. I don't know whether I've got Jota on the docket. If I have, I'll put him up there. No, I haven't. But so that's interesting to know. If you want to compare him with Diaz, again, in the wide areas, it's a little bit of a mirror, but he does show some elements of what you'd expect from our wide players. If I can find Cody, just flicking through. There you go, Cody. Cody's a different kind of wide player. I've always said that. Cody's a very different wide player than Cunha. So from an FBref point of view, he does look very good. If we look at the more, this is against, this actually against us. So where was he picking the ball up? He was picking it up in just outside zone 14, which is good. This is kind of what you'd expect him to be involved in. He was receiving the ball, considering Wolves in the first half didn't have a lot of the ball. Second half, he was still pretty much their go-to man. So he's getting a touch or he's making a pass every nearly 1 minute for the whole game. So that's pretty good considering they didn't have a lot of the ball in the first instance, right? If you look at involvement in our key areas, again, considering the volume they had, first half, they were non-existent as a team. Second half, he got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's got about 9 passes in and around the areas we would expect our players to be in. Looking at, again, just looking at the defensive side of things, he won nearly 100% of the duels he faced where threat was a problem, right? So the off-ball stuff that you would expect a false nine to do, he did his job for the team on that. And if you look at the off the ball defensive actions, so we are asking him to operate in these areas, or we would be, sorry, and he did, again, some good numbers supporting the wide areas quite well. So I would suggest this looks to be an interesting. This is where he took his shots from. He's produced a lot of balls XG at the weekend. So normally when we run these, right, a player won't have a lot in this column because this is just their own stuff. But this is how involved he was. He has got a full set of data. So that tells you he was their kind of star of the show. Even on a shot map, these are all the shots for a game. Typically, you see one dot on there against us. So this is a pleasing thing. And I asked, I phoned a friend for some physical data, and Si was very helpful. And Cunha's top speed, I think, this season, or is per 90, is 33.9 with over 32, or is being rapid. So that he is very quick. Number of sprints is 16 a game, which again is good, and he's clocking in just sort of 11k a game. So they physical output are extremely useful to know. That would give us some searing pace on the counter, which has been if you lose Diaz has lost a bit of the pace because of his injuries. So you take him out of the side. Cody is quicker than you think, but he's not the searing explosive pace. And Nunes as well, to be fair to him, has got that pace as well. So if you take those two out, you are then running with a relatively, I mean, no Premier League slow, but you know what I'm saying, a slower breakaway side. So that would give us a definite attacking output at pace. You know, nearly 34k. Okay, top speed is an exceptional speed. Sorry.
Tell you what, there is a million things to like about this Cunha profile. And I hadn't really clocked it until, to be fair, you showed it and you told us about it, that even when you look at his history, he's got serious minutes actually on the wing with Atletico at times and Red Bull as well. You know, played the 10. So versatility comes into it. Like you say, the speed element. And I did want to ask you, Bart, because of the versatility, that the areas that he plays, which showed up on the stats as well, 13 goals and 4 assists. And this isn't to sort of make it directly, but based on what we've profiled, is there an argument that Cunha is almost the closest to Bobby that we've seen or profiled so far on the show? And where he picks up the ball?
That's a tricky one. So I think Pedro, who we have profiled, he has some very similar Bobby traits. Cunha's probably got might have more goal involvements at this stage than he did. Bobby was very streaky, right? He was always creative, heavy. True. But in terms of actual goal output, he was quite streaky. So he could be a little bit more than Bobby was. But no, I think in terms of certainly off the ball, the profile he's got here, I would suggest he's very Bobby-like. You could see we could play him in a false 9 to drop in. And we sometimes like to play with a double 10, don't we, with Dom? And you could see the pair of them absolutely terrorising a double pivot or a centre half. You could see them doing that. And then because of his pace, he would then be able to get in behind, they'd win the ball and you could see him playing in the game. Whereas Bobby, again, wasn't slow, but he could still go and do the thing. So, I think that could be really a really interesting combination. Whereas I think Pedro's got a lot to like about him as well, but I think he is on more the creative side than the attacking. But
yeah, it might be a case of what output do you want, the creativity or the goal element in those two. And the final one I wanted to put to you about Cunha is you've always talked about referencing what Ian Graham's had in his book, the Michael Edwards textbook, or the way he plays things, shall we say, that they don't know and get involved in bidding wars. They will know a top price point for a player always in metrics. We know Cunha has a set fee of 62 million, or I think around 62 million in the release clause in his new contract. It's not a small, but in terms of if you want someone to play as your 9 or forward, in the Premier League, it's not massive big bucks, is it?
No, I mean, I think personally, I mean, Mike's just put that in there. Versatility is a buzzword. I think,
Yeah.
I do think, as much as I agree, top teams don't need that, but I think if you look at the options you could have with this lad, if you sign this lad over, say, sign over Pedro can play the 9 or the 10. He hasn't really done the wide stuff right. This lad's played wide, and he's played anywhere across the front three. He's a bit like Jota when he first signed for Jota. Could play wide right, could play wide left, and he can play down the middle. This lad can do that. And he's done the minutes for it, and he's got the gas, and he's got the output, and he's only 60 million quid. Just think about that now, right? Rather than having to waste some midfielders at a bit of park and midweek, you just put Cunha out there, and then you could just drop him into up front. You could have that versatility, whereas we haven't got that at the moment because we put Diaz up front. It's an experiment. It hasn't really worked, right? We don't really have an option if he's not going to play Nunes other than Jota. So I think having those players that can do that and do it well will be interesting. He would have to tweak the system a little bit because if you're going to play him as your false 9, that is different to what he's asking his 9 to do. But then his 9s, he is asking to drop in and do a lot of work as double 10. So yeah, I think for £60 million, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a more likable player. But let's see who else we could get in. There might be other players that we want to get in to play the 9.
True.
All right, the Reds, it's Jack here, and that was a clip from one of Anfield Index's audio podcasts. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you do like, share, and subscribe to keep up to date on all things LFC. We record around 100 audio podcasts every month, with our shows featuring match-going fans, top journalists, professional analysts, and even Liverpool legends along the way. With the Great Dane himself, Jan Molby, joining us every single week. If you want to listen to all our podcasts for free, head over to anfieldindex.com/podcasts. Our audio shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Anfield Index. Or if you prefer to listen to all our podcasts in full and without any ads, why not head over to AI Pro today to check it out now at anfieldindexpro.com. If you want to get involved in the great growing community of Liverpool fans, check out the Anfield Index Discord. The link is in the description. Do get involved with that from Reds around every corner of the globe. For now, Reds, hope you enjoyed this video.